Hello everybody, my name is Justin Johnson and I'd like to welcome you to my Facebook page, Justin Johnson, a wrongfully imprisoned individual. The purpose of this page is to raise awareness about constitutional rights violations, wrongful imprisonments, and how they can relate. It will address Ohio's current wrongful imprisonment remedy laws and the situation in which I was sent to prison for a crime I didn't commit when a judge decided to violate my constitutional rights. Now understand that our constitutional rights are, older than anybody watching this video, I would imagine. The Bill of Rights was established in 1791, and it contains, a few due process laws, stuff that, the judges and prosecutors should respect in a criminal trial. And the due process clause itself is just another reminder that these privileges during trial, these rights during trial, are to be respected and enforced. The due process clause itself says that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of any U.S. citizen, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process or equal protections of the law. So, that being said, it's pretty clear that these judges and prosecutors should not be able to break the law to enforce the law, you know what I mean, because they believe that they're doing the right thing or whatever, or fueling their own agenda, whatever that may be. So anyway, right now, a wrongfully imprisoned individual is somebody who was sent to prison for a crime that he or she did not commit. That's what it says in the Ohio Revised Code, and that is, it provides a remedy if this should happen to you, if you're sent to, charged with a crime and sent to prison for something you didn't do, and you prove your innocence. Now, a question has always vaguely existed as to whether a person is wrongfully imprisoned if his or her constitutional rights are violated during a criminal trial, because that violation of those rights would be wrong. Therefore, the trial would be wrong. The conviction would be wrongful. So that question has always existed. You know what I mean? Because the judge or prosecutor is breaking the law in getting that conviction. And these rights are supposed to be very important. And, they should apply to every U.S. citizen. So, for all you Constitution believers, you believe in the Constitution. It's very important. Like myself, I believe in the Constitution, especially now, going through what I went through. It's pretty crazy. So anyway, whether you're guilty of the charge, offense, blah, 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 constitutional rights violated. So anyway, understand that lawmakers do not want to unnecessarily pay out somebody. Like if they feel that somebody was released on a technicality, they're calling it a technicality. I wouldn't call it a technicality, but they're talking about constitutional rights violations. So, they're saying, oh, yeah, you did a crime, but you were released. You know what I mean? Well, thing is, constitutional rights are very important. So, that question exists, rather you're wrongfully imprisoned because they violate your constitutional rights. But we're going to put that off to the side because that creates an issue where, it creates a gray area between proving your innocence and having your constitutional rights violated. There's an area between that where you may have been innocent or you were innocent and your constitutional rights were violated, but you were unable to prove your innocence in that trial because the violation was so serious and extreme. So you were sent to prison, on unfair circumstances. So anyway, and I'll get into my situation. That's where I fall in. I'll get into that here in a minute. But these lawmakers, the, people in law enforcement, probably conservatives, are not wanting to pay out money to wrongfully imprisoned individuals, probably as it is, you know what I mean? So why add in another area for people to receive money for this injury, you know what I mean? And understand that prison is probably the next worst thing to hell. You know what I mean? It's a place of punishment, like hell. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's, unless you're being, like tortured in a dungeon or something, it's prison, then hell. You know what I mean? So you got to understand. So anyway, they're saying that this already cost millions to pay out wrongfully imprisoned individuals a year, which is crazy to me, because the payout for a wrongfully imprisoned individual in Ohio is $52,000 some per year of wrongful imprisonment. So it raises the question of, how often does this happen? If you're saying that the state pays out some $1 million, I forget what it is now. I looked it up a long time ago. It's been some time. Pays out millions of dollars for wrongful imprisonments. Raises the question, how often does this happen? And then raises the question, well, how long before you let the individual out? You know what I mean? After realizing that he's wrongfully imprisoned. How long has this $52,000 a year stacked up for it to be, oh, you're paying out millions of dollars? You know what I mean? So now you got to wonder, how often does a person's constitutional rights get violated in a criminal trial? How often does that happen? If we're worried about opening up a bank, you know what I mean, the floodgates for people who committed the crime, you know what I mean. And I also must say we shouldn't avoid remedying people who didn't commit the crime and had their constitutional rights violated in trial, just because we want to avoid paying people who did commit the crime and were sent away. And this is how they feel, because they're not going to be in a situation like this. And more power to them, but they don't end up in situations where they might be in this situation. They might have their rights violated. You know what I mean? They may never appear in front of a judge ever in their life. You know what I mean? That's great for them. But as far as me, that happened to me, and I was torn away from my family, my everyday life, without due process of the law, equal protection of the law. So anyway, I guess I'll just get into that. I was at a party one night, December 23rd, 2015, and I was in a dispute, an argument with a drunk man. Drunk man pulls a gun out on me. A friend of mine is also in attendance at this party. He's armed. I'm not. Friend pulls out a gun, shoots the drunk guy to prevent him from hurting me or anybody else in attendance. Now, I leave. My friend leaves. The drunk guy wakes up in the hospital. Oh, well, Justin Johnson must have shot me. I was in an argument with him. Justin Johnson shot me. Tells the detectives this. I'm chilling, minding my business. I'm freaked out. Somebody was shot in front of me. But bare minimum, I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna end up issuing a warrant for my friend. Dude is gonna, he's messing around and get off on self-defense, because I'm pretty sure Ohio self-defense laws mean you can act in defense of yourself or a third party. So, warrant is issued for my arrest. Kent Repository issues the article. I turn myself in on these charges, surprised, and it's set for trial. The whole situation is set for trial. I end up doing 90 days in the Stark County Jail while I'm waiting on trial. Trial date comes. They're offering me 7 to 10 years, anywhere in there. Take it. Don't go to trial, because my charges add up to 30-some years. Don't go to trial. This is what my court-appointed attorney is telling me. He's meeting with the prosecutor. If you go to trial, you lose, they're going to sink you. You know what I mean? So whatever. I don't want this on my record. I want to be with my family. Let's go to trial. I don't care. 7 years is still long compared, 30-some years is long. 7 years is long too. Let's go to trial. I didn't do it. So we set it for trial. Drunk dude gets up there. He's lying. He really can't recall the events. When he got to the hospital, he had a blood alcohol level of 0.024 or 0.24. Whatever the case is, he was 3 times the limit to drive a vehicle. So anyway, he's lying on the stand as well. He's getting caught up in clear lies. The jury returns with a not guilty verdict on my behalf. And the judge dismisses the jury and says, well, I'm going to give you 2 years anyway. You're going down. You're getting 2 years. Whatever. You know what I mean? So, gives me 2 years in total disregard to the jury's verdict, which is a total disregard to my 6th Amendment right to jury trial. You know what I mean? It's a complete violation of one of the most important rights during trial, my right to a jury of my peers. So anyway, sends me to 2 years. I appeal my conviction on the grounds of the sufficiency of the evidence. You know what I mean? The evidence is just some guy pointing the finger saying, oh, he shot me. You know, there's not even a weapon in the evidence because dude walked off with it after he shot him. So there's not a weapon in the evidence to uphold any of the charges, let alone weapons under disability. So I challenge the sufficiency of the evidence. I also challenge my my right to jury trial. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have the right to try me without a jury unless I waive my right to jury. I did not do that. So the appeals court gets the paperwork and they overrule the sufficiency of evidence, because it's pretty hard to get an appeal court to side with the sufficiency of the evidence. You got to get them on a plain violation, such as, my right to jury trial. It's got to be something in their procedure generally, or somebody has to just come out and say, oh, he didn't do it. You know what I mean? I was there. Yeah, that's, they're going to overrule evidence. I mean, I was sent away on a weapons under disability, and there ain't even a fucking gun in the evidence. Just some guy pointing a finger at me. You know what I mean? So, I appeal these charges. I get out, and now, I appeal these charges. I end up in the county, and they set it for trial again to afford me a fair trial on these charges, even though, what happened in the first place. So, they set the trial. I'm sorry if I'm everywhere, but they set the trial. They set it for June 26th. Come June 23rd, the prosecutor they're trying to get me to, plead guilty the whole time. We'll just plead guilty. We'll let you out today. No, I don't want to plead guilty. I don't want this shit on my record. It'll be on my record still. So, they set it for trial. 3 days before the trial, prosecutor has a hearing to dismiss the charges, saying that she can't find the fucking victim. She doesn't have the evidence to pursue the charges. So, she dismisses it, but she dismisses it without prejudice, meaning that within the statute of limitations for this crime, which was 2 years, if she can locate the victim and the evidence, then she would bring the charges back. Now, this itself prohibits me from filing a wrongful imprisonment claim, because if they could bring the charges back, then you can't file. Well, thing is, that statute of limitations has just expired on 2017, December 23rd, 2017. It just expired. I just mailed off my expungement paperwork to get this crime off of me that I did not commit. I mailed off the paperwork, and I'm waiting to get that back. And I've been attending hearings to try to get the representatives and the senators of Ohio to recognize constitutional rights violations and how they can lead to wrongful imprisonments in Ohio. Period. You know what I mean? So I've been doing that. And if you want to help, if you feel that you want to help, if you agree with me at all, and you feel that these constitutional rights should be protected, because in protecting and remedying them through wrongful imprisonment statute of Ohio will prevent judges and prosecutors from doing this in the future. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to do. If it fails again, because it's failed. If it fails again, they're going to be free to just send the whole courtroom to prison. So, a little something to note there. This is the second or third time this representative with a good heart has tried to get constitutional rights violations recognized. If it fails again, I fear for anybody going to court. So if you want to know what you can do to help, you can write me, inbox me, but I'd advise contacting your local, or it doesn't even have to be your local, but state representative or state senator You can get their information on ohiohouse.gov and ohiosenate.gov. Just contact them and tell them House Bill 411 is the name of the bill. Just tell them that constitutional rights need to be included in the wrongful imprisonment statute of Ohio, which is 2743-48. And that's about it. That's all I got on it. I'm tired. I've tried to shoot this video like 2 or 3 times, man, and you know, I stutter every now and then. It gets crazy, but man, yeah, they fucked me around. I'm trying to come see about them. You know, I'm trying to come make things right for everybody, not just myself. But you know, that's about it. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking this shit out, and you know, have a great new year and all of that. Peace.